Hi, welcome to the channel Budget Audio Review and Upgrades. Today we're reviewing these Wharfedale Diamond 2 speakers or Wharfedale Diamond Mark 2 speakers, whichever way around you want to call them. Done a little unboxing video, put a link of that at the top because I bought these new old stock or basically brand new, near enough, just been open to check the contents. If you want to watch that video, that's at the top. Now I brought these other two out as well just to show you that these are pretty similar. They're all same size cabinets here. The only difference here is obviously the internals, the crossover and the drivers, even though I think these two drivers are the same here, the Diamond 2s and the Diamond 3. These main driver are exactly the same, I think, just different tweeters, different crossovers like I say. But anyway, I just thought I'd show you these three compared to each other as I've got them now, as they're out of the box and all that kind of stuff. Right, let's get these on the table. Now before we start, these are rated at 86 dB, 8 ohms, 75 watts, 110mm driver, main driver, and a 20mm plastic dome tweeter. So let's have a look at the driver. There's the rear. There's a few more little pictures of the side view of it. Now there's the driver, the Diamond 3. And these are basically the same, I think. These are side by side. The only difference here is the speaker terminals are slightly offset from one to the other. I just thought I'd get the padding out. There's the padding on the Diamond 2 at the top and the Diamond 3 at the bottom. As you can see, the Diamond 3 padding at the bottom is slightly thicker, a bit wirier, but it's a little bit longer on the Diamond 2. There's the crossover of the Diamond 2. We'll take a little bit of a closer look. And we're just going to compare it with the Diamond 3 crossover. Why not? Take a closer look at that. If we put them side by side, as you can see, there is a slight little difference in the makeup of these two crossovers. They both use this, maybe a bit unusual, 450 microfarad capacitor. Quite a big capacitor there. Just thought I'd show you that. And here's the rear of the tweeter. And here's the rear of the actual speaker as well, so you can have a little look at the specifications and also the connections at the back. Right, I'm going to move on to the sound. I'm going to push this one out of the way really for the sound. We're just going to do a little comparison between these two sound wise, but obviously the main review is about these Diamond 2s. Now don't forget, I've only had them going about 20 hours, just over 20 hours. I'll try to time it. It's rough, just over 20 hours in the end, but so they may just sound a little bit different as they wear in a bit more, get running a little bit more. So what is the difference between these Diamond 2s, Diamond 3s, which ones do I think are the better ones, which ones should you go for, all that kind of thing. There is a difference between the two of them. It's a fair bit of difference between the two. Now it's going to depend what you're actually looking for, I think, if you're thinking about buying a pair of these smaller speakers. Now these are quite small, these speakers, but they do give an impression of a bigger speaker. I mean, if you put them on the stand and you put another bigger speaker behind it, maybe twice the size of it or something like that, maybe 3 times the size of it, something like that, and you said to someone which one's playing, they're probably going to go for the one behind, you know what I mean? They would have to come up and have a listen and say, oh yeah, is this one playing? Because it does give quite a big sound for a small speaker. It's quite surprising, you get quite a big sound out of it really. Okay, this Diamond 2, I'll start off with the top end. I thought with the top end, it sounded quite nice, the top end. Just lacked a little bit of detail at the top end, but it sounded quite nice, don't get me wrong. It wasn't quite as sweet and as nice and as detailed as the top end of the Diamond 3. There's not a lot in it, but there is a difference between the two. So the top end's still quite nice, you know what I mean? Still quite nice sounding. And it's got, when you go, I like that decay where it goes. It doesn't cut off anything sharp, nothing like that. But it's just a little bit more detail in the Diamond 3, but still sounds nice on these Diamond 2s. Still sounds nice, just a little bit better, shall we say, on the Diamond 3. That Diamond 3, like I say, just sounded a little bit more sweeter on the top end. Now, if we go over to the mid-range, the mid-range is just edged off a little bit, just a little bit smoother. Where it's a little bit, I wouldn't say edge, just a little bit edgier on the Diamond 3s, just a little bit edgier on the Diamond 3s, but still sounds nice. The mid-range, nice, but they just kind of smooth it off a little bit on the Diamond 2s, just sounded that little bit smoother. But I preferred it, I think, on the Diamond 3s, where it's just a little bit more edgy, a little bit more grittier, shall we say, something like that. Maybe a little bit more real, maybe, but still. We're talking tads here, it's no vast amount, it's not like chalk and cheese or anything like that. You know, it's just a little bit of a difference, but I wanted to let you know that it's just a slight difference. I still just prefer the Diamond 3s, I just prefer that little bit more edginess, that little bit more life to it, that little bit more grit to it maybe, but it still sounds nice in the Diamond 3s, so don't let me put you off that at all. Now, if we go to the bottom end here, there's a little bit of a difference here in the bottom end, where these sound a little bit more bassier, a little bit more, seem to go a little bit more deeper, seem a little bit more bassier. Maybe they just emphasise the bass a little bit on these speakers, just a tad more than they do on these Diamond 3s. So if you're looking for a little bit more bass, then the Diamond 2s is going to be for you. But you do kind of like trade it off a little bit with the detail of that bass. It's just a little bit clearer, a little bit nicer, I think, though a bit more lacking on the Diamond 3s. It's still there, just a bit lacking, but it's just a tad more oomph to it, but you're just lacking a little bit of detail, I think. Just a tad, a little bit of detail, a little bit of focus there on the bass. Not a great deal between, you know, the detail you're losing, but it's just, I still prefer the Diamond 3s. It just lacks a little bit, but I prefer that lacking and get a little bit more detail, and the drums sound a bit more drum-like, and hear the difference between the different drums and that, even though you can on the Diamond 2s, don't get me wrong, but it's just a little bit more detail on the Diamond 3s there. So, you know, I'd rather trade that off and go with the Diamond 3s and the Diamond 2s, but I'm not going to put you off these Diamond 2s because they're still a nice sounding speaker. Now the stand stage here is a little bit narrower on these Diamond 2s, a little bit Mark 2s, whatever you want to call them. We'll call them Diamond 2s, I don't want to get mixed up here otherwise. Yeah, a little bit more narrower on these, a bit more in between the speakers, not sometimes, you know, obviously you can hear it on the edge of the speakers and that, and sometimes go, but it's mainly concentrated just in between the two speakers. When I say just in, not, you know, from one to the other, it's kind of pushed in. It's a narrower field, where on the Diamond 3s it's more of an open field. It gets bigger, it's nicer, you know, depending what you're looking for. It's more of a narrow, and I can kind of sitting back in a kind of sweet spot here. And these Diamond 2s, you just kind of get the feel, if you're listening to the band or whatever you're listening to, maybe an orchestra or something like that, just sounds you're listening to them a few more seats back. If you was like sitting down listening, you're a few tables, a few seats back, as you would be if you was listening to the Diamond 3s. They just brings you a little bit closer to them. This just brings a bit further away and a little bit more narrow on that field, where this sounds more open, more airy on the Diamond 3s, and more to my kind of liking. I mean, it depends what you're listening for, but I do like it a bit more airy, a bit more open space than that. While the instruments also kind of they had room to breathe, a bit more breathing space between them than they did on these Diamond 2s. So the Diamond 3s give the instruments more breath, more breathing space there than they did on these Diamond 2s. So on that score again, I'm going to go with the Diamond 3s. It's just my taste. I do like that. Like I say, it's just lacking that little bass, where this has got the bass, just slightly lacking that detail there on the bass. It's no big like mark, big differences. It's just a little bit. It is apparent. It is there. Now the sax, piano, and all that all sounded nice. But I think it just sounded a little bit, just a tad more realer, a tad more nicer on the Diamond 3s than they did on the Diamond 2s. So it's just really my opinion here that the Diamond 3s just had, I've got it down, it's got a little bit more lighter touch, and a little bit more finesse, than they did on the Diamond 2s. Not going to put you off these Diamonds and 2s at all, because they do sound nice. They're a nice sounding speaker. I think it's what you're looking for. If you like a bit more airy sound, then it's the Diamond 3s, but like I say, you're lacking that little bit. If you're really looking for a bit of bass and you think I've got to have some bass in it, they're a little bit lacking the Diamond 3s, where this has got more of an emphasis on the bass. But you're doing that little trade-off, like I say, with the with the detail of the bass a little bit, with the airiness, with the instruments, spacing around instruments. They're more being able to breathe more focused. It's not vast amounts, but it is apparent. You can definitely tell the difference with the Diamond 3s. It's just my kind of speaker. I just enjoyed the Diamond 3s more than I did the Diamond 2s, I think, yeah. But like I say, I'm not going to put you off, because it's not a bad speaker at all. It's a nice sounding speaker. And if you just had this and didn't have the Diamond 3s to compare it against, you're going to like it, you know what I mean? You're going to say, oh, this sounds nice. This is a nice sounding speaker, and it is really your taste, I think. You get this and you may think, well, it's got that more breath to it, more breathing space, more instrument like placement. You can kind of like tell the instruments, their placement a little bit more, they're a little bit more spread out, sound stage wise than that. The top end just sounded a little bit more sweeter on the Diamond 3s as well, but it's not a vast amount of difference. I mean, I think the most thing you're going to notice here maybe is the tad more bass on here, and the more spaciness that you're going to get out of here when it's a bit more narrower in here. So hopefully that's kind of guided you to how these two sound compared with each other. But just having this speaker on its own, I'd say, like, if you're going to pick this up for £40 or £50, something like that, you're probably going to pick it up for £30. So it depends on condition, I think. But if you pick it up for £40 or £50, you're still getting a nice little sounding speaker. It's quite a big sounding speaker for how small it is. I went right over the other side of the room as well, because I do like listening to the sweet spot, but I also go back because not everyone's listening to the sweet spot. It's a bit like when you're going to, maybe if you're going to go to a gig, I don't know, you're going to go and watch the Jam place, for instance, and just bringing out a band here and everyone's bobbing up and down, pogoing and God knows what else. You're not going to be standing in that sweet spot saying, hold on a minute, get at me, well, I've got to get 10 metres from that speaker and 10 metres from that speaker, stop bobbing up and down, I want to hear it and I want to hear all the instrument placement and all that. You go down the other side of the room and you know, they both sounded nice. They both filled, for what size they are, they both filled up. It's not a massive room, it's 3.5 metres by 7, but they still filled the room up, still give like quite a nice sounding performance from right down the other end of the room, like, you know what I mean. Obviously I had to crank up the volume a little bit because these are like I say, I think, what did I say, 86 or 87 dB sensitivity, one of the two. So yeah, you just have to crank that volume up a little bit more. But all in all, I definitely rate this little speaker, you know what I mean. It's definitely worth, if you're thinking about getting this particular one, definitely worth looking at and maybe auditioning or putting on your list as a little speaker, a little, for not too big a room, like don't go too mad, it's not going to fill up like a massive room, but you know, it seems just about to cope with this 7 metre by 3 metre room, but obviously ideal for a little bedroom, you know, a smaller flat or something like that. Okay, now I usually forget to tell you, I place these on stands, on the table, in a few different places, but you know, really, even though they're only a small speaker, on a set of stands, these sounded really nice, you know, I mean, this is where I really enjoyed them the most, on my stands and getting in that sweet spot. But there you go, that's it. I think I've covered it all now there, really. So yeah, all in all, a nice little speaker. I definitely won't put you off of it, that's for certain. Until the next video, I'll say thanks for watching and I'll see you all soon.